I think, as kids are coming out of the pandemic, that there's always that struggle that they've gone through, and as we become more alert to people's mental health throughout America, I think that's something that we want to continue to improve, not only for students but staff.
Brian McGraw, super at Jefferson City Public Schools, chatting with our news partners, ABC 17. Kids back, most kids back in school today.
Not mine.
Not yours?
No.
Get another day?
No, we don't go back till after Labor Day.
Which, by the way, makes complete sense. I have never understood why schools, we're going to go back to school prior to Labor Day for a few days, and then we're going to give you a 3-day weekend, and then you come back. It's never made sense to me.
No, we did the state fair last week. We had a late night pool party last night. We're full summer mode still, and I highly encourage other people to consider it.
Hallsville School District, Northern Boone County, they're going to be they start this year 4-day school week, so they don't start till tomorrow.
I highly encourage people not to consider the 4-day week.
So the idea is being, okay, it can save money. It can save some money in cost as far as, we don't have to turn on the heat or the air conditioning in the building every day. We can pay. So it's kind of it's about, instead of being job creators, they're taking away from bus drivers, work fewer days a week. A lot of folks work fewer days a week. Teachers are all salaried, so I guess that doesn't matter. But I'm thinking about support staff. Does that mean they get less money if you're only on 4 days a week? Or I think maybe they still get their hours. They just do it over a span of 4 days as opposed to 5.
It seems like it's more about the administration than it is about the kids. And that's what's really frustrating. I would love to see the data on that. They talk about the summer slide, like if you have too much time off, you regress. So is there a slide over a 3-day weekend as opposed to a 2-day weekend? And then also a lot of the studies from what I've read say that like starting later in the day, like not starting school at 8 a.m., kids just do better, and they do better with more sleep. And so I suspect like with 4 days, you're having to pull longer days instead of, the shorter days. And I know in the past, some schools have even done like a delayed start because of bus issues all the way till 9. But I think the data shows shorter, later starting days is better for kids. Give me the data that a 4-day work week is better for anybody but, the administration.
Personal experience, love the 4-day work week. But I was a ski guide and a zip line guide. So you know what I did 4 days a week working? I skied. And you know what I did on my 3 days off? I skied some more.
There you go.
So I loved it. And then the same thing in the summer, I was a zip line guide. Every day of the 4 days I worked, I was zip lining. Guess what I did on my days off? Same thing. I was talking to a parent in Hallsville yesterday, and I was talking to the kids. She's got 3 kids, 14, 11, and 8. And I was asking them, and it's so very different. The teen, not excited about it at all. As a matter of fact, not excited about going back to school. The younger one, who is about 11, he's, whatever, ambivalent. The 8-year-old, excited, wanted to go back today.
Yeah, I think the big losers there, too, are parents who need childcare. Maybe the winners are the local childcare providers who will get some extra cash for needing to watch kids on Friday. But, those kids are older, right? Like high school, middle school. But what about someone like me? I've got a kindergartner, a 3rd grader, and a 5th grader. And, I can't just leave my kids at home on Friday. So I've got to find someone to watch them. And that's really frustrating, especially among folks. We know a lot of folks with prices rising. Budgets are already tight. Now you're expecting these parents in Hallsville to pay for an extra day of childcare when, typically we wouldn't have to do that. It's awful.
Yeah, Marsh, you've been hearing from police in Jefferson City? Well, and we forget a lot of us, because all summer long we've been blowing through. Some of us have been blowing through those school zones because kids haven't been there, and now all of a sudden they're there. And here's the other thing. You know how it was like for us when we'd go back to our first day of school, probably the only day of the school year we were excited for. The very first day and the very last day. Those 180 days in between, screw those, man. The first day, last day, we were excited. And kids get out, man, and they lose their minds darting in between cars, waiting at bus stops. So we got to be careful of these kids. Brian McGraw is talking about mental health aspects. This is the thing, and I'm wondering if it's because they're coming back, and Margie Van Dieven Missouri Education Commissioner, talking with our friends at ABC 17. One of the big concerns for kids here in the state.
We are quite concerned that the achievement gap that we've been working on for decades widened tremendously throughout this pandemic. We've seen the most significant loss from prior year in math, and that is particularly evident in schools that were not open for face-to-face.
Huh. You know, one of the things I think, and if I get it wrong, Stephanie, tell me, but I think we pride ourselves. We don't spend a whole lot of time saying, "We told you so" on the show. We don't do it. It can come off as rude and kind of high and mighty. But we told you so a couple of years ago. Well, we got to keep the kids home, and if we put them out, put a mask over their face so they can't interact with the kids, and they'll be fine. 2 years later, Margie Van Dieven, Commissioner of Education for the entire state of Missouri, saying they ain't fine.
And people hate when I say it, but I would have said, duh. We knew this was coming. People, they're like, that word is so uneducated, but I love using it, and this is the perfect example. We told you so. We knew this was going to happen. I mean, my kids had me as a teacher for 2 months. I'm not a teacher.
Steph is a lot of things.
I'm not a very good teacher.
Marshall, I'm liking that better, maybe. Duh. Instead of "we told you so." Does that work?
It does.
Duh. And listen, this was the thing 2 years ago when they talked about the kids who were, by the way, at very minimal risk anyway. And we knew it then. I know we learned a lot of new things as we went through this whole thing, but we knew then, okay, kids at minimal risk, but let's clamp them down. Let's send them home. Let's cause hassles for mom and dad. Then if we do let them go to school. There was a kindergartner the other day in San Francisco, go figure. The principal called the cops on a kindergartner because they would not put on a mask. Stunning. So, and to the point, you know, we're talking about mental health issues for kids, and I think it's great that we pay attention to these mental health issues. I think that is a big deal. I'm guessing the kids have mental health issues because their test scores are so poor. Why are their test scores so poor, according to Margie Van Dieven?
Because the government shut down our schools.
Come on. So if you are a new or a younger listener to talk radio, is it making sense? John Marsh here just isn't complaining. Stephanie isn't complaining. I'm maybe complaining a little bit, but I think we're drawing the line. John, did we draw? Have we successfully drawn the line from point A to point B on how this works? You did all this stuff. We said it's really going to jack with the kids, and the unintelligent progressive said no, it'll be fine. And here we are today, going, duh. Did we complete this mission successfully? Wait until you have kids, Hannah. It'll be lovely. More stressors in your life.
Great.
Besides the fact there was a study over the weekend, I think it says raising a child is like $300,000 just from birth to the age of 18. $300,000, and totally worth it. Totally worth it. Stephanie.
Yeah, you're really selling the sizzle there.
Stephanie's got a little bit of a skeptical eye here.
I'm like, that's an underestimate. My kids need to eat a lot of snacks. I think I'm going to be over that number.
So that's what you have to look forward to. Hannah, the producer, Hannah, 22-year-old engaged Mizzou grad. Welcome to the show. How was your weekend?
It was good. I got to chill and see some family.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Marsh, your highlight? Okay.
My weekend had zero chill.
Nice.
I was volunteering at a concert on Friday, and Saturday we had the Ashland Daddy-Daughter Dance, so we were at the school most of the day. It was a heartwarming, wonderful, beautiful event.
I love that. And so I know Stephanie's family, the kids are just, wow, some of the most precocious, neat kids I've met in a long time, except my grandkids. And Mr. Bell, just super nice guys. I think that's great. Father-daughter dance. And it went okay?
It went wonderfully.
Anybody sneak any booze in the punch bowl?
Not that I know, but watching those dads do the Macarena on the dance floor. It was worth the price of admission for sure.
I love they did that. Southern Boone School District. My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you, 874-9390. And that is in the 573 area code. You can call or text 573-874-9390. Sandy says, I don't think test scores show that starting high school kids later had any effect. I don't know regarding specifically high school students. I know we have Missouri Education Commissioner Margie Van Deven saying, yeah, testing. So we already had an education gap. So we already had challenges. And then whoever it was in leadership in these local schools says, hey, here's an idea. Let's just keep the kids home. And guess what happened? The gap got worse. Brian Stelter, CNN, highlights part of the problem, because this happens in the Columbia Public School District. I don't know if it happens in other local public school districts, but the kids watch this CNN program in the morning. They watch CNN. Remember, we had last year a mom send us a form about her kid got suspension from recess or something, was suspended. They said, how come? Well, he was suspended because he wouldn't watch this CNN news program in the morning. And they asked him how come he didn't want to watch it. And basically says, I'm not watching this crap. That happens in the Columbia Public School District. Brian Stelter, supposed media watchdog on CNN for several years. CNN changing. They're going in a different direction. And the direction they'd like to go in is they don't want ratings to go down. They've got this whole new mindset. So, hey, Brian Stelter, we're reimagining what we want to do with the show. And Brian Stelter, when he was called into that office, said, what do you mean? And I said, well, we want the ratings to go up. Last show, yesterday, CNN, Brian Stelter points out part of the problem.
Teachers across the country and in other countries outside the U.S., teachers use segments from this show all the time in classrooms.
Yeah. And that's the problem that happens in Columbia Public School Districts. If you don't watch it, as we saw last year, a kid got, I don't know if he got suspended, got grounded from lunch, whatever it was. That's the craziness. Kids going back to school today in a lot of areas. So please, we ask you to be careful this morning. Coming up 5 minutes from now, Daily DC Rundown with one Mrs. Stephanie Bell. What's underneath the circus tent this morning?
We're getting to the end of primary
Former Vice President Mike Pence came to the fair officially on the stump for Senator Chuck Grassley, who's up for re-election in November.
Officially on the stump for Grassley,
but it's Mike Pence in Iowa, and it's not the first time he's been there recently.
And that gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
So Pence was in Iowa officially stumping for others, but he's been in Iowa quite a bit, and I wonder why he might be there.
I don't know.
He's also been squaring off against Trump in a lot of these primary elections, the two of them endorsing different candidates. But he was asked about whether or not he, wheeled out a bunch of documents out of the White House when he left. And
I love that. It's such a visual you paint there.
Oh,
Wheeling
sure.
out documents. Come on, honey, get the boxes. Get the boxes.
Apparently. So he apparently talked to his lawyer before he had responded to this question. And when asked if he had any classified information after leaving the White House, he said, "Not to my knowledge."
Yep. That's, again, I always use the relationship analogy. Honey, did you do anything wrong last night? Not to my knowledge. I was pretty drunk and don't remember, so I'm going to lean no on that one.
Not to his knowledge does he have any classified documents. He didn't really take any hard digs at Trump and kind of avoided a question about whether, any commenting on the raid specifically about Trump. But they are, kind of facing off we think, in 2024. What's really interesting is, we're hearing the liberals and the talking heads say, oh, it's not going to be the red wave that we've been talking about for months. It could, the polls are kind of tightening. And so maybe it's not going to be a red wave. And even U.S. Representative Christopher Shays said, one of the things that will happen is that a lot of Trump candidates who won the primary will lose the general election. And you have to wonder how that will play out for Trump in 2024 on whether or not he will decide to run. You're shaking your head. You think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that even before, pretty much every poll is now falling in line with my original opinion that, stuff's great in the primaries, buddy. It is, and we all want it to be hell. I'm Rick Bratton and Bill Eigel. I want that 8-0 map, man. But then there's reality, and the reality is I don't know. And polls, for what they're worth, are saying it's not going to happen now.
Well, some other folks are having a hard time coming to grips with reality, and that's in Florida. We've got Democrats. We got two Democrats facing off for the chance to get pummeled by Ron DeSantis. You got to wonder how that's going.
Here's what that's like. It's like, would you get in the ring with Mike Tyson for $10 million? That's the same thing.
Right. I mean, they're just waiting for, I don't see any chance there. So Florida, New York, Oklahoma, all picking candidates tomorrow. I don't know about you. I'm kind of ready for primary season to be done. Apparently, some people wait as late as September, so we're not quite at the tail end, but we're getting closer.
I wonder what that would be like if we did our primaries like the general election. It all goes down in one day.
Oh, that would be insane, I think. Or you think better?
More insane than this? I don't know, because that's such a big day. It's all encompassing. I don't know. I'd have to flip a coin on that, and then probably would disagree with the results that I got on the coin.
Well, we talk a lot about how inflation affects everyday folks, and last week we talked about how it actually affects institutions like schools. And this article I found really interesting. They're talking about the housing crisis, and we know how hard it is to find affordable housing, rental housing, and they're saying it's now affecting military families when you have to relocate and go to a new location. And that was one of the big perks of being in the military is they had available housing, and now families are facing higher prices, not as great housing, and these families are actually speaking up and saying, look, this was supposed to be in place, and we can't find anywhere good to live.
Come on, Joe. Dang. That's your daily DC rundown with Stephanie Bell on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Big issues: solar tax credits and solar farms in Callaway County. Callaway County Commissioner, Western Commissioner Roger Fischer is talking about a recent court victory as it regards to taxes on solar farms, and then the idea of solar farms in Callaway County.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
So we know for 6 years, that's been the thing on the progressive news outlets. Oh, this is going to be the one that gets Trump. The Trump is really, really done. And I really thought that they were done with this until yesterday, CNN, Jim Acosta, again, asked the question, is Trump really done now? And he went on to say, here's part of the question. He's asking this guy, something that we thought we've already answered that. Trump has 9,000 lives.
Donald Trump for years now, decades now. Do you think this is it?
They're still asking that. Do you think this is it? Is this the one? No, really, this time? Sunday, less than 24 hours ago, they're still asking this thing because they still went the bed that Trump is president. Welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri. My name is Branden Rathert. Sitting to my left, Stephanie Bell, high-powered attorney, older woman in the city of Ashland, mom, wife, all that good stuff. Good morning.
Good morning.
22-year-old college grad producer Hannah is here.
Hello.
Mr. Marsh, he's a legend. He's here. And John, you know the legend. It's not code word for, old. You're getting that, right? All right. Thanks, man. My name is Branden Rathert. I want to bring into the show right now Callaway County Commissioner Roger Fischer. He is Western District Commissioner, and I want to start. See, you must have been napping, bud, because when you get that old, you just get to. Oh, what? You guys are talking to me? We're complimenting you, bud. All right, let's introduce Callaway County Western District Commissioner Roger Fischer. Recently, Missouri Supreme Court voted unanimously in Greene County, so that's Springfield, voted unanimously to declare a Missouri law that made certain solar energy systems exempt from taxes. They said this is unconstitutional. And I know that we're all, this is something we all like to pay attention to because they're picking winners and losers. We're seeing it with this bill signed into law last week in D.C., this Reduction Inflation Act, the reduce inflation. It doesn't reduce inflation. It's all about green energy, and they're given breaks. They pick winners, just like we do here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri every Friday. We pick winners and losers of the week. The government is picking winners, and that's not how it's supposed to work. So brought in Roger Fischer, Callaway County Western District Commissioner. What was it? I mean, this has got to be a victory for you. The court said, yeah, this is unconstitutional.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things you keep hoping for, but you never really expect it. They wrote that legislation decades ago to protect the solar panels, people that were putting solar panels on the roofs. I don't think that they ever envisioned that it would turn into a huge industry like it is now, so especially something that's subsidized so heavily by the government. Has been pushed on us pretty hard. And at the same time, tax exempt, that means no taxes. We've got one particular place. I was at a school board meeting a couple of months ago. The guys came in. They said, we've got 3,500 acres under contract. We're looking to develop 3,000 acres, and we're projecting our investment of $300 million. $300 million. If that number's correct, and of course, that was part of their presentation, just to that one school district alone, if you were to get the taxes that any other business would have to pay on that, and we're not talking about a utility, we're not talking about any kind of a special or a nonprofit, we're talking about if you're looking at any other business, and these guys produce electricity, they're not farms, they're industrial installations, they're a solar installation, they're not a farm, they don't produce any kind of nutrition for human or animals. So you're looking at on that $300 million, it'd be $5.6 million in taxes on the business, and another nearly $400,000 on the commercial agriculture. That's $6 million that school's not going to get because it was declared tax exempt.
Well, and if we're going to pay taxes, you pay taxes too. I don't care what you are. So we're in favor of the court ruling that said, hey, giving them tax exemptions, it's unconstitutional. I think we're all pretty much on board on that. And the bigger issue in Callaway County right now, solar farms, man. You start driving down I-70, man. You're going back and forth between St. Louis and Kingdom City or Columbia, and you're like, man, it's like I might be exaggerating, but it's like every time man, there's solar farms popping up everywhere. And I know not everybody in Callaway County is pleased. The way I understand it, private individuals are selling their land to these solar companies. Solar companies come in, hey, we'd like to buy your land. I'm guessing they offer usually way above market value.
Well, and the cases that I'm familiar with, they've leased it. They're signing leases, long-term leases, 30 and 40-year long leases. We're hearing numbers of $800 per acre per year, and that can vary up to, I've heard as high as $1,200. I don't know if that was in Callaway or in Audrain, but that's a lot of money. And I guess what I'm after, we're looking at school taxes. That whole money is not 100% school taxes. The schools get somewhere between 72 and 75% of the total taxes that are owed to the county. So I want to correct that. But the rest of the money goes to the county. We're losing. Look at the condition the schools are in today. Nationwide, and the school teacher shortages, the money, they're always begging for more money. And yet we let an industry that's this large, that has this much potential to put that much money back into the coffers and to pay for education. And we're saying, we're going to exempt that company. That whole industry is ridiculous.
So what Mr. Fischer did, he just drew a line from point A to point B. Mr. Fischer, I'm going to step aside here for a second. We have a lot of new younger listeners of the show. We have a lot of regretful Biden voters that have been tuning in to Wake Up Mid-Missouri, and we try to show them we're just not complaining about stuff. We try to explain this is how it works. So we have people chasing their tails. We need more money for schools. We need this. But let's give solar energy, let's give green energy a tax break.
Exactly. not a break, an exemption.
An exemption.
Well, and for the legal nerds in the room, I will say this is why state constitutions are important, because it actually was a state constitutional provision that says, hey, here's what property can be exempted, that then the court looked at the rule and said, okay, that's contrary to the state constitution. It's come into play another time in a case involving it's St. Charles County versus the Curators of University of Missouri, where someone challenged a tax exemption for leasehold interest in property leased by the university, and the court said against the state constitution. And so sometimes that state constitution winds up being really important, and it's not always talked about.
Incidentally, one of the things going to be on the ballot, I think, in November is
Constitutional Convention.
Which we would go if we vote in favor of, then we go and change it. We go and change the Missouri State Constitution. And Stephanie explaining right now why that is so important. All right, so Callaway County solar farms.
Yeah.
It's. Are you losing sleep at night over what you're?
Oh yeah, I'm losing sleep over it. I'm getting a lot of phone calls. We have a lot of people with a lot of different opinions, and I respect all of them.
All right, so our guest, by the way, on Wake Up Mid-Missouri this morning on KWOS and 93.9 The Eagle, Roger Fischer, Western District, Callaway County Commissioner. When people are calling, is it 50-50? People are like, yep, we're in favor of the solar farms, people against the solar farms. How would you judge it just based on the phone calls you're getting in your office?
The phone calls, the people that we're talking to are the ones who have signed up, and I don't blame them, because it's bringing $80,000 to $1 million plus, depending on how many acres they have, to their families. They are definitely in there pushing hard. They have property rights, and they want us to stick to them. Callaway County's been very strong on property rights. But if you look at the population as a whole, the population density in Callaway County is getting a lot more. It's not like we are some little rural, we're out in the middle of Kansas and you can't see lights at night. Our homes are closer together. And that little farm, that what is 200-300 acres, or that whole 1,000, it affects hundreds of people. There's a lot of people being affected by it that are not the ones that are going to receive the money from the solar companies. They're the small guys. They're the ones that if you're taking it numbers, if you're going to take a vote, and all you did was concentrate on the people who are going to be affected by it, and you rule out the city, you rule out the town, and the people who all feel good about following social media and the radio and the TV about how good solar is. Oh, solar is a holy grail. If you take all those people out of the picture and you just talk to the people who are actually going to be affected by it, it would be a resounding no.
Be a resounding no, and the people are affected by it. So you have landowners, as they have the right to do, leasing their land for a good sum of money. People that live around that land that was leased or bought, they're like, hey, man, I moved to Callaway County for a reason. I want to live out on a dirt road and where the tall grass grows, right?
Look at the wildlife. Look at because they're going to be high fence. Okay, all the solar's going to be high fence, so the deer and all those animals are not going to be able to migrate to their natural migration territory. They're not going to be able to get back and forth to food the way they used to. They're going to have to reset up the way they live.
So the folks around this, they're the ones that are saying, "That's not what I moved here for."
Well, I put up with this dirt, this gravel road, and the dust all summer. And it's choking me out. I have to have car wore out, and here we turn around. I like looking at corn stalks. I like looking at soybeans. I love to watch the cattle and the calves roaming in the pastures.
Now, I'm going to push back just a little bit, just because it was in 2007, I think, that the people, Missourians voted to enact the renewable energy standard. And so they did say, hey, we should shift toward renewable energy. And so are you hearing from any of those folks? And when they're saying, hey, we've got this push, people have said they want more renewables, how do you kind of deal with both of those, the tension between that, and say, okay, renewable is good, but here's how we can implement it in a way that maybe doesn't affect wildlife or doesn't affect people's homes?
We've already got technologies that does all that. We're touching on a topic that's going to take a couple of different trips in here to discuss. I mean, we're opening a can of worms. We're not going to be able to get back in the can today.
Yeah, they can mill around here for a while. Can you do this? Can you hang out with us for a few more minutes? Sure. We'll continue our conversation. A lot of stuff here and a lot of contrasting values as it relates to property rights. Solar farms here in mid-Missouri. Callaway County, Western District. Man, questions via text for Callaway County Commissioner, Western District Commissioner Roger Fischer. A couple of things going on here. Number one, court ruling recently said, hey, tax breaks for solar farms, it's unconstitutional. That's BS. You're not gonna get a break. The other thing that's happening, and there's something that's been on the horizon there for a bit, solar farms in Callaway County. So you've got property owners with their property. They are selling or leasing land to these companies. They're putting in solar farms. Other folks, neighbors, are going, hey, wait a minute. I didn't move out here to be next to a solar farm. I live out where the green grass grows for a reason. And so you've got some issues there. I want to cover this off text really quick from Eric. It might have helped a little bit if Callaway County had voted to add protective inspections, have a permitting process. I remember they voted it down and then threw a big fit as soon as the big pig operations moved in.
Well, if you look back over the history of Callaway County and the way the Civil War acted out and everything else, you'll find that Callaway County is very independent, and we've turned the idea of having county zoning has been voted down resoundingly. So we are strong believers in property owner rights. It's when does something become so large and affect so many people that it matters, that it really matters. You know, this is more than just somebody putting a salvage yard on 60 or 80 acres and aggravating the hell out of you because you own that's next to your house.
Property, my right is to sell it to whoever I want.
Yeah. And I'm not disputing that as much, you know. But there comes a point when you're affecting so many people. When does that matter? But that's not the reason I'm here this morning. The reason I'm here this morning is to say, look, we can't let the legislature rewrite the laws to allow these guys to run around and not pay taxes just because our federal government wants to subsidize the hell out of them. These guys are they're going to make so much money, it's ridiculous. And what they would owe in property taxes a year would amount to about 2% of their total investment up front.
All right, our guest this morning, Roger Fischer, Callaway County Western District Commissioner on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Well, that would absolutely make the most sense of anything we can do. You're going to have to deal with it becomes a bigger issue, and the bigger issue is that the PSC needs to be redirected by the legislature of how they reward companies, the utility companies themselves. The utility companies themselves rely on shareholder stock value. Well, that means they have to make more money. Well, the only way that the PSC allows them to make more money is however they're producing electricity costs more than the last time they were producing it, and to keep that income increasing for their shareholder stock value. So it's kind of like a dog chasing his tail, and it keeps going up, 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 up. We need to redefine the way that formula is written so that the utility themselves actually make more money by saving money and using, like you said, nuclear is one of the best, most reliable, stable sources of electricity we've ever invented. And the other one is what we did down at Tomsock Mountain. Only we don't put it up on top of a huge, tall mountain. We just put it on top of the riverbanks. You know, the riverbanks along the Missouri and Mississippi River run between 200 and 300 feet difference in elevation. And we can use that electricity that's produced by those nuclear plants at night, between 11 at night and 5 in the morning, to pump that water back to the top of the river bluffs, and then during the daytime bleed it back down through the same generators and the pumps that pushed it up.
Hey, Commissioner, I don't mean to cut you off. We got about a minute here before we go. Kind of a separate issue, separate of your role as Callaway County Commissioner. A lot of talk about energy, renewable energy. I just want to get your thoughts. I despise electric vehicles. I would love to buy the new Hummer H3, but it's electric. And it's $112,000. But Dodge announcing last week all their muscle cars, they're getting rid of the V8s. They're going electric. The GM plant right down I-70 in Wentzville doing next generation vehicles. They made a $1.5 billion investment for electric vehicles. You want to get into the electric vehicle discussion for like 20 seconds?
Well,
let me ask you this. You in favor of or no?
Well, I think it's part of the evolution of man and of civilization. I'm afraid we don't have a lot of choice. There's only a certain number of carbon particles on the Earth, on the globe, and we're going to have to look at some alternatives to at least stretch that out.
We don't have a choice when what Biden did last week in signing the Inflation Reduction Act. We don't have a choice in that they're giving money to this, giving money to that, and giving those tax breaks that you have vehemently spoken out against. But if you buy an electric car, we'll make it worth your while. Callaway County Western District Commissioner Roger Fischer, thank you for joining us on Wake Up Mid-Missouri this morning.
Well, thank you for having me this morning, Branden.
All right.
And don't forget that those rare earth minerals, they're owned by China now.
All right. We'll have you on again real soon. Steve Spellman going to be joining us about 7:05. Wrote a great piece in the Missourian, NIL. Name
The world of college sports is obviously very big business. The NCAA brings in billions of dollars every year. Of course, now some student athletes are able to cash in too because of the name, image, and likeness deals that you've heard so much about, the NILs.
The NILs, that's what we're talking about on a local level here in mid-Missouri. This guy we know, his name is Steve Spellman. Occasionally you will hear him here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. He's done a lot of stuff in radio over the years and kind of a, I don't know, maybe a chihuahua to some of these local organizations. And he's a chihuahua. I mean, a chihuahua in a good way, in that you're constantly nipping at the heels. That's what I mean.
I'm a concerned citizen. I'll put it that way.
I like chihuahua better. One of those chihuahuas, because you write about things that are affecting us here in mid-Missouri, things that affect us directly. Great piece in the Missourian that we're going to get to as it relates to name, image, likeness. And I keep going back to I'm this 51-year-old white guy, and I'm comfortable in a lot of my ways, and I'm not. And the girls here on the show, Stephanie and producer Hannah, will back me on this. They will fact-check me and go, yeah, it's pretty accurate, Branden. So we do want to talk about that. Let's welcome into the show Stephanie Pell. Good morning. There's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
Mr. John Marsh is hanging out with us. My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you. 874-9390, 874-9390. Welcome into the show. So name, image, likeness, and I'll just say up front, I like the idea, and I've been one of those, and I'm probably I'm one of those holdouts, maybe even in the minority at this point. College athletes should not be paid to play football. It's just not the way it works. And it makes a lot of, people say, well, the universities make money off of them. Listen, that is the deal. You get to go to school, you get all these things. Let's not make this a professional sport, mostly because Alabama has access to a lot more cash than Mizzou does, and that's why I don't want it to go this way. Saying that, I am completely on board with name, image, likeness. If somebody wants to put an athlete's mug up on a billboard, they want them to come into KWOS 93.9 The Eagle and say, hi, I am so-and-so. They should be able to do that. If a business wants to pay anybody, hell, when they want to pay an athlete or the janitor at Hickman High School, they should be able to do that. But you kind of go deeper into the piece. What's the big takeaway, you think, from your piece in the Missourian?
Your point about not paying players, so getting a paycheck from the college they're playing for, but they can go out and market themselves. And we were talking before with Stephanie here about a lot of people, YouTubers, social media influencers of various sorts. Some are in high school, some are younger. They do this sort of thing, and they can get compensated as a YouTuber or whatever. Companies can say, hey, you're kind of famous. People are kind of following you. Hey, what if you plug my product or this service? And to say that college sports, well, you're in this bubble or something, and you can't participate in that because, you're in this, college sport amateur, you're a volunteer and you're a student athlete and these, high-minded things. That's just not the nature of society anymore.
Steve Spellman joining us here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Name, image, likeness. But here's the thing, and again, I got to be careful because everybody I hang out with is much younger and much smarter than me. And I said, pointing to Stephanie Pell. And by the way, you can watch our show. Go to our YouTube channel. And you can find us Wake Up Mid-Missouri. But I'm like, Mizzou just hired somebody to help facilitate this? Then I start to go, because I'm totally okay with name, image, likeness, really am. But now the university is taking money and they're hiring somebody to help facilitate those. I start to rub my chin a little bit and go, what are your takes on that?
So college athletics over the years has become a very big industry. There's big money in major college sports, for good or for bad. And so there's a lot of attention. People want to buy tickets. People want to buy the apparel with, tigers on it. People, want to watch it on TV. And the players there, their name, their picture on there, they're getting interviewed by ESPN and, Fox Sports and all, and so on, that they can't, benefit from that while they're, the prime of their career there. I think we have, we talk about free market principles on the station here, and that these folks can't have an entrepreneurial venture and make money off of whatever they want to do. We need a darn good reason to really stop somebody from an entrepreneurial venture, from engaging in a free market activity. And that's the way I would kind of frame it up.
Like getting your own potato chip. Apparently, I saw this on Twitter last night. Apparently, Luther Burden is I think the second person in the league to get their own product. Old Vienna out of St. Louis, red hot riplets, and he's in his Mizzou uniform on the front of the bag. Apparently available at Schnucks grocery stores. So Branden
Luther Burden plays for Mizzou.
Football player, yes.
No, one of your local sponsors. I won't plug them again, but Exterminator Service, and they've got Norm Stewart as a testimonial. They've got former football coach Pinkel on there. They have a good reputation. They say, hey, I use this service. I like it. You should too.
Right.
Well, that's valuable to a lot of people.
And why
can't the star college football player, the quarterback, do the same thing? Wouldn't that have value in the community? Wouldn't that have value to them as well?
And I agree with that. If anybody wants to use your name or voice, you should. Just because I'm playing college football, you're basically saying I can't make money on any team. And I agree with that. Then I think the lines start to get muddied when Mizzou hires somebody to help facilitate
So this is a game changer. Again, not paying players outright. That would be different. We could have a discussion about that someday. But it is a game changer. It opened up, about a year ago now. A lot of colleges really took the bull by the horns, and the Open Doors report that Sports Illustrated last month reported on showed that the potential market for this coming year was about over $1 billion, they said. But so far this last year, a number of schools, including Texas A&M in the SEC, really has helped their players, I guess, and their players have become engaged in some of these NIL opportunities. And it's kind of keeping up with the Joneses. It is a market that's new, that's opening up. Coach of Alabama was like, hey, you're buying players. Like, well, not really. But for Mizzou to keep up in the SEC, this is a game changer in player recruitment and retention. The reason that maybe players, among many other reasons, want to transfer between schools. It makes a difference.
And then it starts to unlevel the playing field when we say, hey, this school, they have people that are hired that will help you get those. And look, we've already got endorsements here for you. Our guest this morning here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, Steve Spellman, talking about name, image, likeness at local colleges.
Right. Right. A combination of things. I mentioned, a local service that's a sponsor. What if they wanted to, have a testimonial from, star quarterback or something? The furniture store. We got one that identifies with the Tigers. They put the score up on their thing. Maybe a player putting a picture up there. That wasn't allowed before. Why not? Really, it opens up a new market.
Well, Mizzou's also talked about letting the students sell sports tickets and getting a cut of whatever they sell. What are your thoughts on? I mean, that's different from NIL, but it's still kind of this free market principles.
So college students are adults. They can go work at a sandwich shop. They can be an intern at a local attorney office. They can work in the school cafeteria and get paid. They can be a teacher's assistant and get some compensation that way. And if they need ticket agents for the athletic department, okay. And there's different ways of paying people. You can pay a salary, you can pay an hourly wage, or on commission.
Natty Light.
You can do.
They're college
you
kids.
Can trade. You can make a trade.
Well, I guess they're paying them cash or something. But no, you have ticket. Paying somebody for production to go out and find people that might want to buy tickets and connecting them in a marketplace, I think that's quite fair. And paying them per ticket, commission, well, that can really encourage and pay the people that are most productive. If somebody isn't successful and sells 2 tickets all afternoon, well, they don't get paid much. Somebody else, finds that market, convinces the people to by 50, well, they're going to get paid more, and I think that's fair too.
Here's how you get around that. You skip your classes all day and go out and spend all your time selling. You don't need to be in class. Mizzou's paying you to sell tickets for them because they're only getting 50,000 people a week at that stadium.
They could go down to Wendy's and get $20 an hour now too. You know, all the help wanted signs everywhere.
Here's my reaction to that story when they said, "Hey, students can get commission." My first, the word, and I even told Stephanie this. I'm like, it just seems sleazy. Initial reaction that they're saying, "Hey,
these aren't 8-year-olds. It's not like child labor in a sweatshop."
I know, but
dude.
It's like they're encouraging. They're encouraging you. Hey, go out and sell these tickets for us. That way, we don't have to hire our own sales staff. You're going to save us a little bit of money, and you might sell some more tickets. I do see it both ways, but that was my initial reaction.
You know, any of these things in a market economy can be unethical. Who are we going to trust? You know. Do we trust college students to know if this is a good job or not? Are we not trusting the athletic department in the university that, they're going to exploit students or something like this? No.
Isn't that what they've been doing with college football players for years? Exploiting them?
That's a whole other matter. But there's been a market disconnect you're especially at the highest level, SEC Division I star quarterback, let's say. You're an amateur. You're working for, you're volunteering. It's a glorified intramural deal. Oh, you enter the NFL draft, and you're an instant multimillionaire. You know, nature doesn't like a disconnect. You know, the meteorologists and so forth, you got a high-pressure system, a low-pressure system. What does that cause? A storm. And so we've had a problem, a disconnect for a long time. And this just kind of alleviates some of that. It opens it up for players as an opportunity.
I feel encouraged for the community of Columbia in just that it does seem like kind of a strategic plan. You know, I think getting, obviously having this person run the NIL program helps with recruiting. Mm-hmm. And obviously if you have the best recruits, then maybe you do a little bit better on the field. I think having students as your ambassadors trying to get more people at the games is important. Having a huge crowd might, affect recruitment and winning and everything else. And ultimately that's going to put dollars back in our local businesses' pockets and in our hotels and everything else. I mean, do you agree? Do you see this as a positive? And do you think all of these things are kind of intentional as some sort of like larger plan for Mizzou, or it's all just kind of happening kind of in silos?
I couldn't say about the latter, but, it is, look, other competing schools in the SEC and otherwise, they're already running with this. For Mizzou to say, we're not going to do that, well, they're going to lose out. And there will be players, maybe there already have been, that say, I like Mizzou versus this other school, but, they're kind of offering this thing, and, I could make a little money on this. I wouldn't have to go work at a sandwich shop or whatever. Players do that, that they're busy, but, you
want extra mayo on that?
No, it's another opportunity, and, this is a game changer, and it's like, I know that traditional way of thinking of college athletics, and we don't pay players, they're amateur. Well, it's not really the nature of the world, and it's not the full-blown, we're paying players millions of dollars for their on-field services. It's, hey, you can go out and sign autographs and get paid. You can be a social media influencer and actually get paid for value that you're producing. You want to have your own potato chip or mustard or, advertise for the furniture store. Okay, have at it. It's a free market. You're an adult. Okay.
Do you think it incentivizes people to take the jump early? They get a little taste of the good life, and then they're like, I'm out, I'm moving on up, and trying to get the big deals?
I'm going to be fronting for pretzel brands for the rest of my life.
But, I mean, some of these people have the opportunity to go into the draft and everything else, and, I mean, do you think they're like, okay, I've gotten a little taste, I got a potato chip, and next year it is Nike?
Yeah. And here's the thing I think we got to get moving forward. Steve Spellman, great piece in the Missourian regarding name, image, likeness. Check it out, and you hear him here on the show from time to time. He will come in and fill in on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. It's always cool. And see all the time, there's a pachyderm event in Columbia every Friday. See him there all the time. As a matter of fact, Friday, Aaron Hedlund, who used to work within the Trump administration, is one of the... What I like about Aaron Hedlund, this economist dude, is he explains it in terms that I can understand.
Yeah, it brings it down to earth.
Yeah, thank you. Steve Spellman, we appreciate your time here on the show. Appreciate you hanging out with us here.
Pleasure. Good to see you.
Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Coming up, I think, while we're talking about name, image, likeness, and influencers on social media, we want to talk about histrionic personality disorder. Anybody know what that is? Histrionic. Yeah. I think we'll do that at 7:35. And don't Google it. Histrionic personality disorder. Coming up 7:25-ish, we're going to be doing what?
McDonald's has something that I'm kind of excited about.
We'll do it. Good morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
Maybe one of these days it'll be at
Probably
7:25.
But probably not.
And if it does happen, it'll be an accident.
We can always hold out hope, man.
Now, McDonald's over the last year has kind of released some weird things. They had that weird, like, air, land, and sea thing going on where they were putting chicken nuggets on burgers.
Yeah, you get like a Filet-O-Fish on top of a Big Mac, and then they take some chicken nuggets and pour that on there, and then they would take this big sledgehammer and mash it all together and then serve it to you.
Basically, well, now they're actually releasing something in the United States that has been pretty popular in the UK. Can I guess? What is it, Steph? What do you think?
A working ice cream machine.
Oh. We couldn't be so lucky. We couldn't
McDonald's
be so lucky.
commonly gets knocked for their ice cream.
And I have really good luck. I like ice cream, and I do have good luck at McDonald's usually.
Because Stephanie Bell's like the golden person, right?
The golden person at the Golden Arches.
But no, they are releasing a Big Mac, but instead of 2 beef patties, it's got like the McChicken patties. And I just think that that is cool. Apparently it's been hot in the UK for a while, and they're going to test it out over here in the States. And it's one of the more tame McDonald's releases that they've had in a long time.
And so what are they doing?
So imagine a Big Mac.
Okay.
But instead of beef patties, it has chicken patties on it.
Oh, yeah. More
It
meat.
seems like
What's it
normal. A chicken Big Mac.
Still working on it, maybe. We run out. What do you got? Well, it's chicken. It's kind of like the Big Mac. What do you...
It should be like a chicken double or something.
Same people that decided it's a good idea for the city of Columbia to put their logo on trash bags. Got to be the same marketing company. Coming up, what is histrionic personality disorder?
The safety of our students and staff is our number one priority. We want to make sure each and every day that when parents drop off their children that they feel that they're safe and being watched over and secure. We've upgraded our lockdown procedures this year to do them more often. We have secure vestibules in our schools and a great relationship with our local police department. So, we've definitely paying very close attention to that, as that is a top priority.
Brian McGraw, chatting with ABC 17. Brian McGraw is superintendent, Jefferson City Public Schools. They are back in school today, and Marsh, I guess, law enforcement is they're giving us a few different messages today. Yeah.
Correct.
It's an enhanced penalty. That's the French version.
Well, and the harder part is the speed limit's lower, right? So it's, you go from 30 usually to like 20, and so then you're going 40. So not only are you now 20 over, but you have the enhanced penalty on top of that. So the fees can rack up pretty high pretty quick.
They have reimagined the fee structure for those things. But seriously, be careful. And so basically, police in Jefferson City and other areas that are going back to school today. Columbia starts back tomorrow. Hallsville, I think, first time ever going to a 4-day school week there. They're basically telling us to do what we should already be doing.
Following the law, people.
Following the law. But pay attention, man, because kids lose their minds. Remember when we were kids, man, you're excited. First day of school, I'm going to make some new friends, maybe get me a new girlfriend. I got some new duds on, got me some new kids. I'm looking good, man. First day of school, got my Trapper folder and all that stuff, man. I'm going to rock Jefferson Middle School. And we don't think. We cross the street and all that, not paying attention.
Well, and, a reminder, too, the college kids are back, right? So Mizzou's got college kids, and Lincoln has more students than ever. And these kids, the worst are the people on their bikes, because they just come out of nowhere. And I had a couple close calls when I was going to school in Columbia, because it can be really dangerous.
So be careful. Do what you're supposed to already be doing. And we don't want to sound preachy or naggy or any of that stuff, but law enforcement is calling us.
Put your phone down.
Yeah, put your phone down. Don't
for
text.
This week at least.
At least make a good impression, right? Hey, listen, when you're driving down Missouri Boulevard, at least just for this week, just don't text and drive. Producer Hannah is here too.
Good morning.
I want to get back into this name, image, likeness, and histrionic personality disorder, because it might tie in a little bit. I want to let you know, coming up at 8:10, there was, and I hate, I reserve the word legend for people like John Marsh, even though I see you give me that evil look, dude. And I mean, it's not really, for me, it's not an age thing, but it's kind of become a thing between us. But you talk about somebody who's been doing journalism in Jefferson City in mid-Missouri for 30 years, you deserve the legendary status. There was a young lady on TV, ABC 17, for a lot of years, and then left. Oh gosh, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and the two of us had done some projects together. We did an opioid town hall in the Zimmer Radio Group building. We even had lawmakers from other districts come in and joining us. At the time, Josh Hawley was Attorney General. He helped us with this program, and we did like a televised opioid town hall that aired on ABC 17 and on their Fox affiliate. And so this young lady and I, we did some other things together. We did some political events together, and when it came to the local news on the TV, people knew that it was this young lady. Well, is what happens when you get really good in media.
You get scooped up by somebody bigger.
You get scooped up. She went off to a bigger market, and deservedly so. And I know this area was like, oh my gosh. She's back. As a matter of fact, I think she goes back on air later this week at ABC 17. Who is it? We're going to find out. She's here at 8:10. Name, image, likeness. It was interesting. Who's there's a college football player. His name is Bijan?
Yes.
His last name is Bijan.
No, I think that's his first name.
His first name is Bijan. Plays college football. And this name, image, likeness stuff.
Bijan Robertson, he's a Texas running back.
Running back for Texas, Bijan Robertson. I am okay with name, image, likeness stuff. I think it starts to get a little weird when schools say, hey, and we can help you get those opportunities. That's an agent. That spells agent to me. But anyhow, so his name is Bijan Robinson, Texas running back. What this guy has done for name, image, likeness is beautiful.
So Luther Burden has his own potato chip. This guy has his own Dijon mustard. And so it's Bijan Robertson's Bijan Mustardson. It's like a touchdown in your mouth.
I might
Dijon.
I might rethink that tagline.
I didn't read that. I didn't read that before.
Come on, man! It's like a touchdown
it's got
in your mouth.
It's got his face on the bottle, but he and Luther Burden are, I guess, so far the only folks in the league who have their own, that weren't like endorsing an existing product, but have actually come up with their own product. So,
but what I like about this guy is it play on his name. His name is Bijan. Bijan mustard tastes like a touchdown. Marsh, you're not helping, man. It's like a touchdown in your mouth. That's what it's like. Bijan mustard. But I like that. So it's a play on his name. And I'm thinking all of us here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, we've got to be able to capitalize this name, image, likeness stuff. And I will start here. If this, man, I don't eat at a whole lot of fast food restaurants. The one that I will still eat at sometimes because I do like them. I try to eat different food. Taco Bell. You know who could be endorsing Taco Bell?
That's too easy. Taco Bell, give me a call. You know how many other people's last name is Bell in Midmo? A lot.
I'm trying to think, is there any, because with the name That Easy, you'd think there's a lot of opportunities there that you could endorse a lot of things. Maybe you have a suggestion. 874-9390. John Marsha. John, you're easy too, man.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Gary Nolan is here today at 9 o'clock. Great show. As a matter of fact, it's my dad's. Man, you think you've disappointed your dad your entire life, and then you grow up and become an adult, and you get a hugely rated show in all of Mid-Missouri, and you're still disappointing him because you're not Gary Nolan.
So sad. But your name blew up. I mean, when they did the NASCAR thing, and the lady said, "Let's go, Branden." True. We printed your name on T-shirts, and people were so excited. You could have made some money off of that, Branden.
Yeah, that was a pretty good deal. I got you hooked up too, brother. Marshmallows. What? Did you really? I think it would be ideal because you have, and this is a compliment, I think you have a marshmallow type of personality. Yeah, because you're mellow until, man, if you step on the toes of my friend John Marshmallow, he'll get you. And it's not mean. I would say you can be very direct and very pleasant. When you are upset with somebody, you can be very direct without being mean. You agree with that? No.
The lawyer is, though. I'm afraid you'd have some legal problems because there's already that guy with like the weird, he wears like a marshmallow on his head named Marshmallow. I think he spells it differently, but he's got some popular music. Yes, exactly. And he does some cool like songs with other folks, but I actually like his music. But I think if you started going by Marshmallow John and wearing a marshmallow on your head, the lawyers might get involved.
So think how this would work. John Marsh, who's been doing news here in Mid-Missouri 30 years, if he did go by John Marshmallow, and he was getting named. So instead, you'd go to the Mosier's, and instead of seeing campfire giant roasted marshmallows, you'd see it would be John Marsh's face on this bag of marshmallows. And name, image, likeness. And then, so you'd have to change your name and anything. You'd get paid a whole bunch of money. And then let's say you're calling the governor's office. You're calling Kelly Jones, who does incredible work on behalf of the governor, calling, I'd like to set up a 5-minute interview with the governor. Who's this calling? This is John Marshmallow.
You know, we talked a little bit about bowl games and how there's like a hierarchy of which bowl game you get to go to in sports. And I know one year Mizzou went to one of the bowl games and it was the Brute Bowl. So you get a bunch of free stuff from the sponsors and they were like, oh, Brute. Okay, great. And I wonder, you know, if we'll see that with the athletes getting different product deals like, oh, you got potato chips, you know, you got mustard. I got, you know, I don't know, I got Triscuits or like, you know, so dry crackers.
I got the famous Idaho Spud Bowl, which is embarrassing. Alan's hooking us up with a cool one. Apparently, there's another college football player named DeColdest Crawford, plays for Nebraska. He's got an I don't know if he is going to or he does have an NIL deal for an air conditioning company.
Oh.
Slick. I always thought if I had one, Branden Rathert, the only thing I come up with is bratwurst, B-Rat. B-R-A-T-H.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, the Rathert bratwurst or something. There's got to be something there. Meanwhile, I think we are taking part in histrionic personality. I think we all have this morning, guys, you included, Bud. I think we all suffer from histrionic personality disorder. You know what this is?
I had no idea.
All right. John? All right. We're going to... You think any of us... Do you think any of us suffer from this? All right, we're going to find out what it is. We come back. We're going to do that about 5 minutes from now here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on KWOS and 93.9. By the way, podcasts of the shows, or when the show's over, you can go to the website on KWOS.
We are quite concerned that the achievement gap that we've been working on for decades widened tremendously throughout this pandemic. We've seen the most significant loss from prior year in math, and that is particularly evident in schools that were not open for face-to-face.
That's the Education Commissioner Margie Van Dieven for the state of Missouri. And one of the things I think, man, Stephanie nails this down better than most people I know. We try to say, okay, when these things happen, here's why it matters. Here's how it affected us. Here is the genesis of these low test scores. Remember a couple of years ago, you know, when all the hit the fan regarding the COVID pandemic? By the way, is anybody worried about monkeypox? They've elevated the monkeypox concern in Missouri recently, and hopefully it's not something that's frightening. I still see people, and I get it, you do what you want to do. Man, like when I'm driving down Stadium Boulevard and I see people wearing masks while they're driving their car by themselves, I'm like, you might have a very valid reason to be in a car by yourself.
What would that be exactly?
I don't know. I'm trying to be nice here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But then part of me thinks, because here's what I think those people think. They got scared by all the national news outlets. They get scared. They see all the stuff, and they take it at face value without an understanding that a lot of national news outlets, and sometimes we've seen it locally too, have a bend to stories or don't give, because they want you, they really do, they want you to think a certain thing. And these national news outlets scared people so that there's some dude driving in a small SUV down Missouri Boulevard or Stadium Boulevard with a mask on by himself. And I'm like, do you think like the little coronavirus, I think these people have this image that these little viruses are outside your car window trying to get in, and they're like knocking on your window, let us in, we're going to attack you. That's really the vision I have of some of these people. They could be delivery drivers that, you know, they make a lot of deliveries, and it's just easier to keep the mask on instead of taking it on and off. I don't know. But those are the people, in my mind, I could be wrong, that were affected by the national news and local news coverage of the coronavirus. And so the point A to point B, a couple of years ago, I seem to recall, Steph, there were some very intelligent people saying, you know, you take the kids out of school and then put them in masks, especially kindergartners, first graders. That is a very dangerous thing to do for several reasons, for emotional growth. And as Margie Van Dieven, you just heard her when she talked to our buds at ABC 17, our test gap, it's worse than prior to the pandemic. And that's why a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, and a lot of these progressives, those are just conservative talking points. It won't make it bad for the kids. Your Honor, I present exhibits A, B, Z, all the way through Z. Are you going to rule in my favor? Bang the gavel. Let's move forward.
No, I mean, we knew that, right? And that's what earlier, this is not an educated word, but I say, duh, to what she had to say. Duh. I was their teacher for 2 months. They are behind. And because I am not a teacher, I should never have been teaching, been in charge of the school. No, I support folks who homeschool. It's just personally know your strengths and weaknesses. And I'm just not, I don't have a teacher's heart or mindset, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I mean, I look at how smart my kids are, and I feel sad knowing that Amelia, I look at her, and as smart as she is, I think if you did not only go to COVID school, because she started in her first COVID year was in kindergarten, where would she be now if we did not go through the last 4 years? And it keeps me up at night. I mean, because you do your best and you try, but I know that she is not in the same place today that she would have been had she have been in seat the last 4 years.
I know she's only 4.5, but she should be a Rhodes Scholar by now. What is she, 7?
8.
8 years old, and she's grown up in school with COVID BS. Remarkable. I do want to get to histrionic personality disorder. John Marsh says we all are afflicted with his. But first, folks texting in on the name, image, likeness. Name, image, likeness. So we got to wondering here on the show, like, okay, with our names. So, for example, John Marsh, your name, image, likeness is going on a bag of marshmallows, whether you like it or not. Stephanie Bell's going to start endorsing Taco Bell. The best I could come up with was like bratwurst or something, Rathert, B-Rat. But we've got some suggestions that we might have. Listener Tom, Jackie texting in some suggestions for the show. We might do this again at 8:35, see if we can't find one for producer Hannah and Brian Houseworth.
Ooh.
Media legend joins us coming up at 8:10.
The safety of our students and staff is our number one priority. We want to make sure each and every day that when parents drop off their children that they feel that they're safe and being watched over and secure. We've upgraded our lockdown procedures this year to do them more often. We have secure vestibules in our schools and a great relationship with our local police department. So, we've definitely paying very close attention to that, as that is a top priority.
All right, that guy's name is Brian McGraw. He is the much respected superintendent, Jefferson City Public School District. They are back in school today. Columbia Public Schools back in school tomorrow. And again, law enforcement agencies really across from everywhere. I say they're reminding you to be careful. They're really saying,
please follow the law.
Do what you're supposed to be doing anyway, which is pay attention when you drive and don't text and drive and do the speed limit. Welcome to the show. This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I am Branden Rathert, joined by Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Producer Hannah.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Houseworth is going to be joining us. John Marsh is here, too, and we're working on some more of these name, image, likeness names. If members here on the show, and this is based on a running back out of Texas that Stephanie has uncovered.
Oh, well, the running back out of Texas is Bijan Robinson, and he's got his own Dijon mustard.
And it's called Bijan mustard. And so we got to thinking, if people here on the show, if we were doing the name, image, likeness thing, trying to make names off of, trying to make money off of our names, how would we do it? What would those brands be? And we've come up with some really good ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we got some more. As a matter of fact, we've got some for Houseworth already. We're going to do that at 8:35. Marsh, are you liking yours? Are you liking the marshmallow moniker? Okay, no. I appreciate your honesty. Several years ago, by the way, my name's Branden Rathert. If there is something that we can do for you, please let us know. 573-874-9390. You can call, or you can text us, 874-9390. God, I've been here for over 7 years now. Marsh been here for 30 years. Brian Houseworth has been here. My goodness. Anyhow, when I first got...
I've been here since the first letter of Paul to the Thessalonians. So you got to be a religious person to understand that. It's a long time. So
when I first moved here, we had this relationship with a local news outlet and got to know some of the people there. And apparently one of the folks that worked at this news outlet was, well, a lot of them were, but this one was particularly very good. And she was good through hard work, I think, and through her connections in the community. And, Brian, you've been in TV.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You can't just be good. You got to have connections in the community. You got to be good at what you do. You got to work hard, and you have to have camera presence, because otherwise you and I ain't on the TV because we don't speak good English and we don't have camera presence. But you got to have all those things in order to be successful in television.
I agree. And this person does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And she was here, and we did a couple of things together. We did some political stuff, political debates that you and I got to monitor together. We did an opioid town hall where several lawmakers came and helped us out with that. And then it was interesting because this just wasn't within media circles. This was people in the community, people that watched ABC 17 were saddened to see that Marissa Hallowed, who had been here for a while, had left 2016. What's the math on that, Brian?
I believe 2017 was
2017?
I'm going from memory on that because it was right after I had gone to Missouri Net, but about 5 years ago.
So 5 years ago, Marissa Hallowed left, and now she's back. Can we give a big round of applause?
You guys, that was such a nice introduction. Thank you.
You should wait till they see what you're doing for you when you go back on air. What is it, Thursday night?
Oh, my gosh. Hold on a minute.
Wait until, is it Thursday night you're back on?
September 7th.
September 7th.
Yeah.
All
I got
right.
a quick little family vacation before then.
Wait till they see what they do for you that night on September the 7th.
I wonder if there's going to be like a cake. That would be cool.
Cake.
I might bring one in.
There'll be cake. There'll be a video montage of some of your best and most embarrassing moments from your
those would be great.
So you were at ABC 17 for a long time, and you worked for a very good. You had a very good reputation, and you left. What happened?
Well, I got a job offer in St. Louis. And, as a young journalist, the goal, I guess, when you're young at least, is, climbing the markets and making your way up. And I had a nice time working there. But, I'm married now. I have 2 kids. 2? 2! I know. They just turned 1 and 3.
Wow.
Ooh.
I know. So I'm a busy lady. But it feels good to be back in mid-Missouri because I feel like this is such a family-friendly community. And we came back in the fall, and it's just been wonderful since.
Isn't that amazing, though? And I know in media, and I'm guessing other professions, we aren't the only ones, but a lot of, and I know this because I'm speaking from experience here. I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna work there, and I'm gonna work there, and then as I have gotten older, and I've worked in some bigger places, but I started to realize, and I hope that we all come to that place in life. Kind of sounds like where you are. You realize, my family is more important. All that, my time being somewhere where I'm happy.
Totally. And, I think that's finding the balance of where you work. Are you respected there? Do you have a good relationship with your coworkers? What kind of work are they doing? All these things matter. And then, of course, like you said, can I still spend the kind of quality time with my family that I need? And going back to ABC 17, it was like a no-brainer for me. I had such a great experience working there the first time. All my coworkers that I'm going to be working with now, I have so much respect for that. It was just like kind of serendipitous in a way, it just kind of all worked out.
Our guest, Marissa Hallowed, she was at ABC 17 for a long time. She left, was gone for about 5 years, coming back. A lot of excitement in the community about this. I want to ask you this kind of more, again, on that personal level. When you got to that spot, when you think, okay, I'm doing this and I'm working my way up, I'm getting into bigger markets, getting a bigger name for myself. For me, there was kind of this odd feeling like, okay, when I did that and then I'm going to go to this because this makes me a little bit happier. I still had to reconcile that with myself, but because it was like, no, wait a minute. I'm supposed to want these big, great things. It was a weird internal struggle. Is that making sense? Was it like that for you?
I think, isn't that maturity?
Yeah.
Right, Brandon? Like over time, you're like, you know what? All these big flashy things I thought I wanted. Yeah. Now I know myself a little bit more.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it was weird because that's part of that change.
I get that. And I think before I had a family, my job was my baby.
Yeah.
And what I put all my energy and work into. Yeah. And I think having a more well-rounded life approach is probably healthier for all of us, right?
I think so. Well, what about Columbia itself? Having been away for 5 years and now kind of being in a different place in life, are you seeing Columbia through a new lens?
Oh, absolutely. Since I was here last, I bought and sold a house, got married, had kids, all those big life things. Coming back here and looking at the community through that lens, there's just different things that matter to me now that probably matter to the viewers here.
Parks, Branden, maybe?
Parks. Oh, I know. And we're such an outdoorsy family. Love the trail. We're on it all the time. And yeah, it's so many great parks. So I think for sure, coming back to, when we lived in St. Louis, my husband and I would always just kind of come up here with our kids, just for a weekend, stuff to do, go hiking, go to Booch's, grab a burger, and when we had the opportunity to move back here, it was like, oh, this would be a great place to raise our kids.
Yeah. You are a tremendous person. You know how much respect I have for you.
Brian!
I know, just so thrilled that you have come back. So, I think it's a win for KMIZ. It's a win for you, and watched you grow up. And it's really neat. I can't believe the kids are 1 and 3 now.
I know.
That's
Time
amazing.
Flies.
It is. Marissa, for listeners who don't know, you were the NBA best news anchor in the state multiple times, and congratulations to that. The one question, it's interesting, Marissa, you did some award-winning stuff about violence when you were here. Mm-hmm. Young people, some were teens committing violence, and literally that's 6-7 years ago, in some cases 5 years ago. We're still dealing with it today, and I'm not going to ask your opinion on this Mosier's thing or anything else, but the bottom line, what you reported on then is still happening now. And we had the Cracker Barrel. A guy got shot at Cracker Barrel a month ago on a Saturday evening, broad daylight. And then this one, bottom line, what you reported on and Rose level of attention, it's still going on, that issue of public safety.
Yeah, and of course, that's something that I hope to continue asking the right questions and holding people accountable. We all want to live in a place that's safe and go to bed at night feeling okay about where we live. And, I hope that in my role, I can do my job as a journalist and ask the right questions and bring attention to issues that, maybe if there's something that can be done about it, we can find out what that is.
That's great.
Welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri on KWOS and 93.9. And by the way, that's some big things that have happened here professionally for this show. We're on more than one station now, bigger reach in the area, so we're excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. ABC 17's Marissa Hallowed was here for a lot of years, left about 5 years ago, and she is coming back. She is joining us on the show right now.
Sure, that's a great question. I think, like Brian mentioned, safety is really important to me. I have kids now that will be going to school in a couple of years. So I think that's something that really resonates with me personally, and that's something that I would love to dig into. But I do just have a different perspective coming back here this time about the types of stories and issues that matter. I'm interested, too, in just our everyday things, the housing market, gas prices.
Because our concerns change, and we use
Exactly.
that. Our focus is on, this is what's important. Like Stephanie Bell, mom of 3, high-powered attorney. She focuses on different things than what I focus on. But because different things are important.
Sure.
Now, September the 7th, out of Wednesday night.
Yes.
Wednesday night,
Yes.
You're back on ABC 17. When you got back into town, what was... Because I always have this thing. I remember when I went back to Pensacola for the first time after being gone for several years. First thing, there was a steakhouse, and I'm going to go and I'm going to have steak. And first place I went to was a Whataburger. Oh, and boiled peanuts. I got boiled peanuts first time I went back. You come back to Columbia, first place that you're like, I got to go here. I got to go there.
I feel like Shakespeare's is kind of a classic. And I mentioned it before, but Booch's. My husband is so hooked on those burgers now. So, yeah, those would probably be my two go-tos.
All right. What have you missed most about Columbia?
All the nature, outdoor opportunities. Living in St. Louis, we had nice parks and things like that. But I feel like just the trails and we take our bikes out. It's that's the best to me.
As much as I despise the fact that the City Parks Department has 3 funding mechanisms and can't take care of what they have now, and I let them know this because when I go out and clean up their messes, which I have done before, I take pictures and videos and send it to them. Come on, 3 funding mechanisms and you can't get somebody out here with a snow shovel to clean mud off the trail. I do agree, and that's why I'm so passionate about these parks in calling out their BS, because it is one of the reasons I do love this area, because there are plenty of parks.
I just saw some list recently too. I can't remember. I can't source where I found this. But it was.
Heard.
I know. As a journalist, I should never say that. But it was Columbia just made some list of affordable outdoorsy towns, and I'm like, that is so true. It is an outdoorsy town.
It is.
One other thing. So, as you get into a mom and you have a busy career and TV's very demanding, you do have these options. And so one option is to find something else that's kind of less demanding to do, right? And I think a lot of people, take a less public role as they get into more private family life. So you got to love TV. What do you love about your job?
Oh, man. I think taking a break from TV, too, has made me really, really understand why I love it so much. The fact that I get to talk to new people and meet people in the community, no day is the same. Everything's different. And then being able to report on things that can actually make an impact, that's super rewarding. And I don't think a lot of other careers, you get the opportunity to do something like that.
Marissa Hallowed. She made an incredible name for herself up until she left in 2016 after sitting there at the anchor desk. Watching her every night on ABC 17 News. She is back on air Wednesday, September the 7th, Marissa Hallowed on ABC 17. It is so good to see you again.
Oh, so good to see you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anything else you want to say before we let you go here?
I'm excited to get started.
Amen.
Dig back in.
We'll see ya. Oh. Morning, 8:28. Time for the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
So the Wall Street Journal is reporting that this item is getting cheaper at the supermarkets. And the fact that anything's getting cheaper
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
It is. And it's especially good for people like me, and I think people like you. It's steak. So steak is getting cheaper at the supermarket because demand's falling for higher end cuts, just as everyone's belts are tightening. And then also apparently staffing is improving significantly at meat processing plants, where we had a lot of issues during COVID and other times. And so that's driving the price of steak down. And this actually happened to me yesterday. I'm in the supermarket. My parents are coming over for lunch, and Mr. Bell and I decided we were going to make chicken wings, give the kids chicken legs. We have a really good recipe for chicken wings. If you need it, let me know. I go in, and a package of chicken wings is $10. It's like, I don't know, $5 a pound. And I can get a huge pack of Kansas City strip for like $13. It was like $7.99 a pound. And so I literally called Mr. Bell. I said, how offended would you be if we had steak instead of chicken wings? And he said, not offended at all, honey. And I said, well, I'm going for the steak.
I'm going to do like Mahomes did on Saturday in that preseason game. I'm going to call an audible, Mr. Bell, and I'm going to go with steak instead of the chicken wings.
And so this is making my day because, yeah, I noticed this myself, and I would every day of the week rather have steak than chicken. So,
amen. Coming up about 5 minutes from now, Stephanie's recipe for chicken wings. Also, what is histrionic personality disorder? And we're still working on this name, image, likeness stuff. Members of the show here. Products. What would product names be? Taking off our names. We're getting suggestions at 874-9390. Love to hear yours. 874-9390.
We're ready for it. We're prepared. Yeah, we're ready for all the business.
Yep, we're ready. We sell out of posters like immediately as soon as the students start coming back.
They come in here and stop, and they kind of like shop our Mizzou section, getting ready for back to school. I think our sales have been actually really a lot better now than it has been in the summer.
I'm excited for all of our small local businesses. Now, by the way, Lincoln University, apparently their enrollment is up. One of the colleges in Fulton, their enrollment numbers are up. Mizzou, all these people come back to town, spend money. I appreciate the local businesses. I was at a break time, and this is the one right across from a business that Stephanie Bell is endorsing now with the name, image, likeness stuff. But it's break time. It's at 63 and Stadium, right where Stadium ends. There's a break time and a chicken place and Taco Bell, which is endorsed. It's not endorsed by Stephanie Bell. We're doing this name, image, likeness thing. We'll get to that. But I stopped, and this is Saturday, and like I say kids. Anybody who's younger than me, I say kid. But kids that like, and I don't know because I'm this old, and I think anybody that looks young, they must be under 21. I asked the cashier because I'm wondering, some of these guys, I'm like, are you even 21? And I asked the cashier, and I swear to God, I think I ruined it for a dude. So there was a dude up in the line. He's got him some natty lights. He's two-handing the natty lights, man. This kid had like 48 natty lights between the 24-pack and 24-pack. Wow. And I'm looking, I'm like, I don't think this kid is 21. I could be wrong. So the cashier is waiting on me, and I'm like, hey, have you already getting a bunch of people in here trying to pull the wool over your eyes about being 21? She said, oh, yeah, we sure have. And I looked over at this kid, and I could have swore he gave me a dirty look as he put the natural light back on the counter and walked out of the store.
Wow. Whoops. That is interesting. Now, here's one thing about it. Yeah, that's exactly
Officer
right.
Rathert, in effect.
The one thing that the convenience store clerks, and it'd be a very difficult job because you're dealing with, in some cases, patrons who, they want their alcohol and also their cigarettes. But you also deal with undercover liquor control agents who will come in there and they will cite you, not you, but you know what I mean. They'll cite the employees, and the employee, sometimes they take heat from the customer if they card or whatever. But in some cases, if they serve someone who is underage, he'll be cited, and they most likely are going to be fired.
And see, people like me and Marsh, right? We get away with this. But I'm looking at some of these. Because you're right. People do get upset when you ask them for their ID that are obviously.
I don't get upset when people ask for my ID.
You don't get upset, John? Yeah. Well, that's the thing I was going to say. Usually it's the chicks won't get upset. They're like, oh, thank you. And part of it, listen, women, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Half the times, they know. They're just doing it to be very polite, and it works, which is beautiful. But there are some people you ask to card them, like, because listen, we see it at the Zimmer Tiger tailgates all the time. Yeah, I mean, they get upset and like, hey, man, we have to because it is an SEC rule. This is a rule. If you're coming in and we're going to give you some booze,
exactly.
We got to see that ID, man.
And unfortunately, some people don't understand, but it is just following the rules. Yeah. And I've seen it, too, at banks where people get upset. And as a customer, I appreciate that they want my ID so someone's not going to try to impersonate me and do identity theft.
And as a former bank teller,
yes,
it's really nice to have that verification so that you know that you're not screwing up and potentially going to be losing your job.
Exactly.
Let me ask, and I'll start with you, Bud.
I will remind you not to show your debit card numbers on the TV screen here.
I've done this before. You can watch the show. Just go to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
You go to Wake Up Mid-Missouri. You can watch the show. You get people that pull it up on the smart TV in the morning, so all the kids now running around in Jefferson City getting ready for school and stuff. You can pop up the TV, and you get local news, find out what's going on in the world. Some people even at some businesses, you go up to the counter or whatever, like a dry cleaner recently. Went to a dry cleaner, and they've got a TV there to entertain the guests that are there. But you can watch. You pull that up on your business TV, and it's local stuff. It's not Days of Our Lives, man.
Yes.
Marsh, let me ask you, because you would strike me as to be the one that does this. On my debit card and one credit card I have, I do not sign the back of the card. Do not sign. I do not sign it. I write down, really, What's the reason you don't sign it? Yep. Exactly. I put on mine CID, and sometimes I've even written the letters CID, or I'll just spell out CID.
That's right.
And I cannot tell you, and I'll say this: I'm not knocking the younger people, but my experience is I've been to places where if they still don't have, most places have the scanner now. There's very few people that are touching your card anymore, but they'll take your card, flip it over to make sure your signature matches. It says CID. And they don't even ask me for my ID. So on the rare occasion that somebody does ask me for my ID when I am giving them a debit card, I make a point to thank them.
Yes.
I say, thank you. That's
Absolutely.
why I put it on there. All right. Coming up next here on the Old Guy Show and things that we get cranky about. Let's go back to the name, image, likeness. There's incidentally a great piece in the Missourian by a guy by the name of Steve Spellman. You hear him sometimes here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. He'll come in and do some stuff, fill in when some of us aren't here. But he was talking about name, image, likeness. Mizzou has even and by the way, the athletic director, Ms. Reed Francois.
Desiree
Reed Francois. She's not everybody's doing this yet. And Mizzou really is one of the first. So I got to give some kudos on that. This idea that we're hiring somebody to help these college kids get those NILs, I don't know. But again, it's the old, chubby old balding dude.
I get it.
That's not the way we did it in my day, and it should stay the way it's always been done. But I get the fallacy in that. You know what I mean? Like,
every other university, well, not every other university, but some universities are doing it. And think about it. If you're a kid that has all the talent in the world, you basically get to interview the universities. If one says, hey, this person on our staff, they're going to be a partner with you all along the way, help you through these new NIL deals, which no one's ever done before. And this university says, you're on your own. All things being equal, which one are you going to pick?
So we thought, and there's a running back for Texas, very good running back. His name is Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson.
Yes. Robinson.
Running back, Texas Longhorns, right?
What he has done with name, image, likeness, this is beautiful.
He has come up with his own mustard, and it's Bijan Robertson's Bijan Mustardson. It has a picture of his face. You want me to read the tagline? Okay. It's like a touchdown in your mouth.
Wow. He's a big-time player, by the way. We'll be watching him on Sundays.
Oh, man.
He's really good.
Like a touchdown in your mouth.
That makes me uncomfy. I don't know.
Anyhow, so slick play on the name, slick thing. So Stephanie's kind of an easy one. There's got to be some other name, image, likeness opportunities out there for Stephanie. The best we can come up with for Stephanie Bell is
Taco Bell.
That's easy. Marsh is not a fan of his. Campfire John Marshmallows. Make with s'more.
We got a text at 874-9390 saying that Brian Houseworth could be a real estate agent. Tell you how much your house is worth.
Wow.
I like that.
That's awesome.
Take it to the house.
Yes. That sounds awesome.
So yeah, there's some good opportunities there for you in the labor market. Rathert raviolis. As much as Branden wears flip-flops, sponsor flip-flops.
I liked that one a lot. You should have your own flip-flop, honestly. I got a text in. We should make Would You Rathert into like a board game that you could play and you could market that.
You'll have to ask Hanson, Brian Hanson, part of the Gary Nolan show, which gets underway here in just a few minutes. They're going to kick us out. Gary's going to come in. But we once in a while, do a segment here on the show called Would You Ratherts.
I remember that.
Yeah, and what we would do is we would take two uncomfortable situations that were like in the news, things happening right now in the news, and we used to do it, and I don't know why we quit.
Would you rather have your own potato chip or your own Dijon mustard?
Dijon mustard, that's an easy one.
Really?
But it would be like, would you rather go on a date with Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren? That was Would You Rather.
Well.
But that was the thing. Would you rather? And we would put you in two uncomfortable situations that had to do with something, in the news.
Very interesting.
And give you.
Well, Brian, you had heard about the potato chip. What do you know? It's its own like St. Louis hot sauce flavored Ruffle or Vienna.
You know, it's a potato chip in St. Louis. My mom and dad say it's been all over the news, and the only thing I've seen on it, Frank Cusimano, if people want to take a look at Frank's Twitter page, he has a big story up about it and gives some detail. It's got a picture of Luther Burden, but my mom and dad say it's been on all three TV stations. I expect he is going, and again, we're in uncharted territory right now. Brandon's right. We've never seen anything like this. Luther Burden was here at the radio station last week taping something, which you'll probably hear here very shortly on our stations. He was taping something, and he's very excited. But you're talking about someone who's likely going to end up, if he can stay healthy, in the NFL. But we've never seen anything like it. But that chip, I hadn't heard anything about it, but apparently it's really popular. And for all three TV stations in St. Louis to cover it, it shows how big it is. It's a big deal.
You said he was here. Did he bring any chips with him?
If he did, I did not see them. But I did get to visit with him a little bit. And as I told him, years ago, I did games in East St. Louis at his high school when I was in college. And they were a powerhouse then. They're a powerhouse now. They've been a powerhouse as long as Brandon and I have been around. They used to have a guy named Bob Shannon, and they've produced a lot of players to the NFL. It's one of the poorest communities, by the way, really in the Midwest. And he's a really impressive young man, and he could have gone anywhere. Alabama recruited him, Georgia, but he decided to come here to Mizzou. It's pretty impressive.
Coming up about 5 minutes from now, Marsh has agreed to tell us about histrionic personality disorder. Marsh?
Want to hear my trick for snagging a...
I'm proud to name Dr. Monica get it right, Doc. Bettignoli.
Is that making fun of the guy? You know, he's said, he's been open. He said, you know, I struggled with stuttering over the years. Is it now to the point where we're getting mean to highlight those behaviors from the guy who's supposedly leading the country?
I don't think we're mean. I think the people backing Joe up are being mean to him because there should have been a phonetic spelling on that piece of paper that made that name really easy. And that's an easy thing to do. And anybody who's ever emceed an event, the staff usually spells it out for you so you have an easy time. So the fact that he has no one behind him doing the work for him.
I remember the first time that I had to introduce Stephanie Bell somewhere. Thank God they put the enunciator for her name.
There's a reason I'm just producer Hannah.
Welcome into the show. Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I just wonder about that. Listen, it's bad. And what's even worse is, so this guy's going to go and travel the country. Look at what we did with the Inflation Reduction Act. We know, even the regretful Biden voters know, and you listening is kind of curious, you know. By the way, this show tastes like a touchdown in your mouth.
That's so gross.
That is a weird tagline for a product, for that mustard this college kid has put his likeness onto. He's going to go and he's going to look at what we did, and they prey on dumb people. They prey on people that like this Inflation Reduction Act, those people that are in favor of that. They are uneducated. They are dumb. They are stupid because, oh, yes, you passed the Inflation Reduction Act. And it doesn't do that. And it gives breaks for people who buy things like electric-powered cars. And these people that think it's a good thing, they are dumb. And so the dumb people in D.C. are going and preying on the dumb by telling them, hey, this is a really good thing. And it just simply is not. Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan office says, listen, it's not reducing inflation. They lied to you in the name. Okay, before we wrap up, we got, did we get everything covered besides?
No.
What?
The personality disorder. I've been waiting.
Histrionic personality disorder. As we were talking about name, image, not likeness, maybe think of that. Histrionic personality disorder, and as we talk about the social media stuff, you know, we see people on social media all the time, and the pictures and the selfies and all that. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you might be afflicted with histrionic, because everything's got to have a name now. But histrionic personality disorder, and I also do believe we create names and put them on stuff just so it has a name. It's kind of like the progressives do. You know, they're naming heat waves now. So you name hurricanes, now they name winter storms. They are naming heat waves. Oh, we got to give the heat wave a name. And they do that to try to hype it. But this is basically somebody who has to be the center of attention. It's a psychiatric condition associated with a pattern of attention-seeking behavior, inappropriate seductive behavior, and discomfort with being outside the center of attention. They experience discomfort when he or she is not the center of attention. I think I know somebody who's afflicted with this. Displays dramatized and exaggerated emotions.
Is it you?
It's Harper, my little grandbaby girl, 5 years old. She's the one who, when I wouldn't let her have a breakfast, wouldn't let her have a Twinkie at breakfast a couple of Thanksgivings ago. Mom, Grandpa Branden stole my happiness. Doesn't that sound like somebody that would have this histrionic personality disorder?
I think so. I think I probably know some adults with it too.
Names?
No, thank you.
But I think that's the thing, and but that idea, because we do know people like that, and they're not just 2- and 4-year-old kids, because there's some 4-year-old kids, and we know they're not happy unless they are the center of attention. I think some of that is just being a kid, but we know adults, like if they're not the center of attention, they can't stand it. And it's, I don't know, weird is one word, but there's a name to it now.
Well, and those people are going to do really good at this NIL stuff, right? Like the people who enjoy being the center of attention, they're going to rock it.
Oh, yeah, those people that also have histrionic personality disorder, maybe even very likely have a lot of money because they're good influencers on social media. See ya.
Bye.